All right, I'm back. I'm back. I got the reads and everything, and what a difference a couple hours makes. As all of you already know, I just literally just found out about the untimely and shocking passing of Bob Saget, and I don't even know what to say. I'm just absolutely in shock. I mean, I don't know what else to say than what everybody else said. Just like absolutely the nicest guy and just so goddamn funny. And absolutely loved making people laugh and loved jokes. And whenever I would text with him, he would go on until you stopped. Like, I don't care if it was like 3 a.m. If you were joking back and forth, that guy just loved to improv and just make people laugh. And one of the most amazing things that I found about that guy was he was literally friends with comedians that were only a couple of years into the business, all the way to legends working in Vegas, some of whom who weren't selling as many tickets and kind of were working off the strip. He would fly out there, he'd go to their shows, encourage them, tell them they're funny, and have dinner with them. And I don't know. I met him, I believe the first time I met him was probably on the Opie and Anthony show. I can't remember if it was the Virus tour or if he was in studio first, but I was immediately just struck with how down to earth he was. It was fucking Bob Saget, right? Who, you know, and yeah, I mean, he was just wire to wire. I knew him a little more than 15 years, and just wire to wire was just an absolute sweetheart. I'd never had one argument with him. He was just the nicest guy, and I really very thankful that I had a very complete friendship with him. You know, we told each other that we loved each other, shared, stories about growing up and how the hell we both ended up being comedians. And yeah, man. I mean, if that guy wasn't making people laugh, he was out organizing a benefit to help other people out. And that is why you see the kinds of tributes that he's getting. It's just fucking brutal. Fucking brutal. I'm absolutely in shock. So, with that, wow. Well, Jesus Christ. Someday I will tell you guys, I'll tell you more stories that he would get a fucking kick out of. But it's always tragedy plus time. So, all right. Let's leave it at that. Okay. All right. Back to the podcast. Rest in peace, Bob. I love you to death, but you already knew that. You already knew that. Why did I just say I love you to death? He would have got a kick out of that. Stupid. All right, here's a Saget story for you. I got to change the names here. One of the last times I hung out with him, I was hanging, with a bunch of comics, some musicians and everything. Typical Comedy Store, just a great mix of people. We were up on the roof, thanks to Mike Binder and his documentary. They built a little area up there where you can smoke cigars. He did it for that documentary he did about the Comedy Store. So we're up on the roof, and we would just talking comedy. And there's this story about this one comic. I can't say the guy's name, but his deal, this is so bad. His deal was when a comic would die, he would call up that comic's agent and be like, "Oh my God, I heard about so-and-so. I'm so sorry. I just want to make sure you're doing okay." And then they'd be like, "Oh, gee, so-and-so, I'm so glad you called. It's so nice of you to reach out." And the comic would be, "Yeah, if there's anything I can do, I'm always here for you, buddy. We all love so-and-so, blah, 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 blah." And then in the end, he goes, "Yeah, listen, and if he had any corporate dates on the book you need me to cover, just let me know." He was actually calling up to take the dead comics gigs under the guise of acting like he gave a shit. So anyway, how do I tell the story without giving away who it is? was a story. A comedian, his wife was downstairs making breakfast. The guy died in the morning. Okay, that's the loose version of what happened. So we were all just sitting there thinking about that, and then out of nowhere, Saget goes, "So and so probably came by and asked for his eggs." I can't do it justice. I also had to leave out so many details, but it was the fucking line of the night. And I remember I was up on the roof with Bartnick, and Bartnick has this thing when somebody just does a really dark, sick joke, which was so much of Bob's humor, which is so funny because he was such a loving, caring guy. He could just go so dark. I remember Bartnick just closing his eyes and just threw his head back and started laughing. And I remember laughing and yelling out, "Line of the night." And I remember seeing how happy. Yeah, how happy that made him. You know, there is something to be said about dying young, because then you don't have to hang around and watch all your friends die. You know, I always wondered what it was like. You know, these people lately, like Betty White, dying at like fucking 99. It's just like, you literally, everybody you went to school with is dead. Everybody, you got like movies you did, like everybody's dead. That's got to be like, why isn't anybody asked? I guess it's not a nice thing to ask an older person, but I would love, you know, like one of my relatives lived close to 105, and she was on like her third set of friends. She was a card player. You know, she always played bridge and everything. They always say that's so good for your brain. And she just was sharp as a tack right to the very end. And I remember my relatives telling me, yeah, she's outlived the people she grew up with, the next generation, the generation after that. Yeah, she'd always be playing cards with women in their 60s and 70s. And, you know, I'd come back, you know, and every 10 years there'd be a different group of women, and she would still be sitting there. It's just fucking, it's like one of those actors that just never leaves Law and Order. The whole cast changes around him. All right, let's do some of the questions here for the week. All right, useless Christmas present. Dear Billy Buttfuck, I have a useless Christmas present. My mom wanted to give me your action figure from The Mandalorian for Christmas, so she went ahead and ordered one, and a package came in the mail a few weeks later. The only problem was the package was giant. Confused, she opened up the package to find a giant, big-headed Mayfeld cardboard cutout. Oh, no. Turns out the action figures don't come out until next year, so they sent this instead. So now I have this life-size cardboard cutout of you in your Mandalorian outfit, and I have nowhere to put it. I laughed my ass off for 10 minutes straight and thought you'd enjoy the story. I'm definitely keeping this useless piece of shit. I've attached a picture for your enjoyment. Thanks for bringing enjoyment to my life. Oh my God, it's fucking huge. What the hell would you do with that? I don't know. Why don't you reboot Weekend at Bernie's? Fucking drive around with that thing. I have no idea. But thank you for watching the show, and thank you for caring enough to order the action figure.